Hi, everybody. Mrs. Somick here, and we are going to wrap up this week with a mini lesson on making connections across texts. Now, as readers of fiction, we come across many interesting themes and topics. And it's important for us to realize, though, that many of these themes and topics appear often throughout the literature that we read from different cultures. Now, they are universal themes and topics. And as readers of fiction, we can make deep connections among many texts in order to create a deeper understanding. Now, as we've been discussing, our fiction stories may follow similar patterns and express common themes, or what we like to refer to as big ideas. Now, just to kind of review over themes, I've got a fun little vocabulary video for you guys today, and I'd like to share it with you, okay? And in this video, they're going to talk about some common themes that show up in our literature. So let's listen up.
It was an ice-cold evening in the city that never sleeps. Criminals stalked the streets, and everywhere you looked, it was a war of good versus evil. Will there be a hero to come save the city? Someone on a mission for justice? Stay tuned to find out what the theme is. Yeah, we got some knowledge you can get right here. We're talking about a theme or a big idea. It's a message about life the author is expressing. So here's an example for anyone with question. Excessive pride leads to a person's demise. Now a few more themes you can try and emphasize. In The Little Prince, I won't keep you guessing. Relationships teach you important lesson. And in Tuck Everlasting, there's that death is a part of the life cycle. Do you get it yet? Many different stories have themes that they share. It could be in this book and that book over there. Like in Alice in Wonderland and The Little Prince. Do you know what a theme that they share is? It's that in childhood, you're open-minded and you know things that adults lose sight of. Don't confuse theme with the main idea though. So just in case, let me break it down for you real slow. Main idea is what a text is about mostly, while the theme is more sweeping, so you've gotta read closely. Every story has a theme, a universal concept, if you know what I mean. Theme in every story has a theme, just below the surface, running through it like a stream. Every story has a theme, a universal concept, if you know what I mean. Theme in every story has a theme, just below the surface, running through it like a stream. Now a writer won't come right out and say what the theme is, but with the character and plot, you don't need to be a genius. Take Batman, aka Bruce Wayne the billionaire, the moonlighting crime fighter who all of the villains fear. But every once in a while, a truly diabolical one comes into town and really puts Batman to the test. The Joker, the Penguin, the Scarecrow, you can guess that every time without fail, it's the good guy, Batman, who prevails. So what's the theme? Think about the plot and the characters, heroes, villains. I see the theme. Yup, there it is. Good triumphs over evil. Let's do another, cause a text can have more than one theme to discover. Bruce Wayne's a jerk, but Batman's a good guy. So another theme is there's more than meets the eye. Every story has a theme, a universal concept, if you know what I mean. Theme in every story has a theme, just below the surface, running through it like a stream. Every story has a theme, a universal concept, if you know what I mean. Theme in every story has a theme, just below the surface, running through it like a stream. And here we are. This story has many themes, as you can tell. There's always a theme to everything you read, everything you see. Make sure you dig deep. Your story has a theme too. Every story has a theme.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that. So, like we said, every story's got a theme. And a lot of times our fiction stories may follow similar patterns and express common themes. So look at some common themes, especially in folk tales here. Those stories are passed down from generation to generation. We know that courage versus cowardice, so courage versus those that are cowardly. Oh, we talked about this one already. Good versus evil. Rich versus poor. Wise versus foolish. Age versus youth. Beauty versus ugliness. Stinginess versus generosity, very giving, and fairness versus unfairness. So there's some common themes there that we're going to be tracking and following today. Now, we're going to be comparing two texts here, okay, that have common themes. However, these common themes are presented two totally different fictional texts. So we're going to revisit our mentor text, The Rough-Faced Girl, first, okay? Now, what we're going to use to compare and contrast is what we use as a graphic organizer is a Venn diagram. It's such a great tool to use to compare text. Obviously, we know what goes in the middle is the similarity, and what goes on the outside are those that are differences. Okay, well, let's kind of revisit here our story of the rough-faced girl. Now, we've already talked to this a little bit here. Evidence we pull from the story that goes towards a common theme they share. We know that our rough-faced girl, she faces some hardships, yet her strength is what keeps her going. Okay? We also know that she's not assisted by anyone on her journey. She is relying only on herself and her heart, her true heart. And then also we know that her true beauty is internal, okay? Which is going to only go to lead her to her true love. Now, we're going to look at a new story here together, a little shared text, and I'm going to pull that up for you here in just a moment. And we're going to try to see here how maybe this story would share the common theme that the rough-faced girl would share as well, okay? And as I'm reading through it, I want you to listen carefully, okay, and see if you can see how these two stories may share that same common theme of courage, okay, as I read along with you guys, cheese for dinner. So I'm going to pull this open here and make it nice and big. And I'm going to read along in case it's a little blurry for you to see so you can see the text with me. All right. Cheese for dinner. And this is a tale from Mexico. All righty. I hope you're ready. All right. Coyote was hiding behind a boulder near the lake. He licked his chops and stared at Conejo. The unwary rabbit was gazing at the full moon that lit the cloudless sky. Coyote lunged at Conejo. The rabbit bounded away, leaping over rocks and around bushes, but Coyote stayed right behind him, snapping at his heels. Conejo came to a wall of rock, and desperately he looked for a way to escape. Finding none, he cowered against the wall, thinking of what to do. Coyote scrambled to a stop and brought his jaws close to Conejo. Caught you, he said, flashing his pointy white teeth. I haven't eaten for 2 days, and I'm hungry. Conejo's mind raced. You don't want to eat me, he said. I'm just a scrawny rabbit. I know you're not much, but you'll do, Coyote said, opening his wide mouth. Wait, Conejo yelled. I have a better idea. I know where you can get something delicious to eat. Just before you started to chase me, I saw an enormous wheel of cheese resting on the bottom of the lake. Why don't you go get it? Coyote said. I wanted to, but I can't swim. I was thinking about how to fetch it when you surprised me. A big, strong coyote like you can probably dive in, pull it out, and eat it all by yourself. Coyote's mouth watered. Show me the cheese, he said. Conejo led the way to the lake and then pointed. See? Coyote saw something round and yellow in the water. That's a big wheel of cheese, he said. I'm going to get it right now. And Coyote held his breath and dove in. He swam down, down, down. But when he got to the bottom of the lake, he saw no cheese. Where is it? He thought as he struggled to hold his breath. Then he swam up, 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 gasping for air. He heaved himself out of the water. To his surprise, Conejo was nowhere to be found. Coyote stared at the cheese in the lake. How can I get it? He wondered. Coyote lifted his head to howl in frustration. And at that moment he saw the full moon. He looked again at the lake and saw the moon's round reflection. That sly Conejo tricked me, Coyote snarled. For hours Coyote searched high and low for Conejo. Not finding him, Coyote went to bed hungry. As for Conejo, he was safe in his cozy burrow. All right. So we know here both of our characters, our rough-faced girl and, of course, Conejo here from our story, are very courageous characters. Now, courage was that common theme. But that theme was shared in two different ways. Okay? So let's think. Conahay was a pretty courageous little guy, don't you think? What I want you to do is try to find some evidence from our text here that shows off his courage. How do I know Conahay is so brave? How do I know that bravery and courage goes along with that common theme? Okay? All right. In your Google Classroom, you will see this Venn diagram waiting for you. I want you to fill in the evidence here. Okay? How did Conahay show that courage? So just to wrap up, today we've seen how a theme of courage is expressed in folktales from two different cultures. Okay, we have the Algonquin tribe here, our native tale here, and then we obviously have our folktale from Mexico on Conahay. Now, although the characters in the plot are vastly different in these stories, the message is clear. Courage is a highly admirable trait. The common themes and topics in literature are often treated similarly in traditional literature from different cultures around the world. And as we continue to read our fiction stories, let's make sure to make connections between our texts in order to create a deeper understanding of our stories. All right. So, hope you guys enjoyed our little short story that we had here today. Can't wait to see what you guys come up with our text evidence for cheese for dinner. All right. Until next time.